Well, good morning on this fine morning. Oh, not fine, beautiful morning out in the Cheshire countryside. Now, I wasn't going to come out this morning. I had all my gear set up ready and I was sitting there watching TV thinking, can I be bothered? Is there going to be anything to shoot? Well, absolutely. There's plenty to shoot. It was just a case of getting myself out, and now I'm absolutely overwhelmed with the amount of material I've got before me. Now, whilst I'm surrounded by all this beauty, I must admit I'm a bit of a loss as to how to shoot it. I can see beautiful wildflowers everywhere, but I'm not particularly one for shooting flowers. I need to get them into some sort of foreground as part of a larger landscape. And the other reason is I'm a little bit hampered because I've chosen to come out with the 4x5 camera, and that's not the easiest thing to work with. Now, I think I could probably do waiting for a bit more light to come out before I photograph these wildflowers, or attempt to. And the other thing as well is there is quite a bit of wind. I mean, it's just still at the moment as I'm talking to you, but they are blowing around quite a lot normally. So I may revisit them on my way back to the car later. Now, what I've decided to do this morning is to walk along the entire route from my car to the end of the woods and then head back. Now, the idea being I'm going to get an idea of the material there is to shoot before I break out the large camera, which takes a long time. I could start shooting now, but I have a feeling that I'll get a better idea of what I want to shoot and how I want to shoot it if I just do a bit of a recce first. Now, I have got some colour film, some colour negative, and obviously black and white with me, and also the 6x12 roll film back. So I'm quite flexible in what I can take pictures of, and I've already got an idea about those wildflowers on the way back. So I'm just going to see if there's anything at the end of the woods before I get started. Well, 20 minutes later, I'm at the end of the woodland walk, and nothing's really caught my attention except those wildflowers at the very start of the walk. I have some trees in front of me I've shot before in infrared, and they look great, but they don't look great today. So I think I'll retrace my steps, because obviously then I'll see things in a completely different angle with different lighting. Well, I've undoubtedly I think gone with the wrong camera today, because there are some wonderful compositions. I'd love to use these weeds, beautiful yellow plants in the foreground with this tree and the poppies, but I can't get that depth of field, and I can't use tilt because the top of the tree will go soft. So I'm going to have to do something with a sort of mid-ground and maybe a background. If I want to include this foreground, I'm going to have nothing jutting up from the mid-ground, so I'd have to have a fairly flat horizon and just an empty sky. Well, despite my initial misgivings about this particular shot, this composition, I walked up and down a bit more, and I have been out now for a couple of hours, and I just got drawn back to it. The colours are fantastic. I mean, I've got this beautiful yellow, I've got the red poppies, I've got a tree, but I couldn't decide on how to shoot it. I'm accepting I'm going to get something soft in the frame, and there might be some movement with the flowers, but I've had to come up with a way of shooting it which does it justice. So what I've decided to go for is a vertical type panoramic, a very tall image. And I'm going to use my Horseman 6x12 back, a roll film back, for two reasons. One is it's a lot cheaper to shoot roll film than sheets of film. Sheet of film, £10 for colour. Roll film, £3 or £4 probably for a couple of shots. And I can develop it myself easily. But I had to get the right film now. I haven't got many colour films these days, but I have decided this morning to bring Portra 160. So that's what I've got loaded. Quite a slow film, obviously, but with all the bright light around, I'm getting about a 15th of a second at f/32 with my ancient Goerz Dagor lens. Okay, going for a 25th of a second here with no polarizer, because I've got a lot of movement and it's a bit too much movement, so fingers crossed. Hopefully got it. Now, in addition to taking a couple of images without a filter on, I'm also going to try the polarizer for a couple if the wind dies down, because yeah, the wind is quite I mean, it's quite strong, and I don't know if I'll be able to get something, but even if I get movement, I think it'd still be a very nice shot. Now, something else I've decided to do is to actually take the whole roll of film, that's 6 shots in all, on the same scene. 2 or 3 with a polarizer and 2 or 3 without. There's some movement in them. There is some chance that I'm going to get a faulty frame. I don't know which one's going to be the best lighting. Lights in and out a little bit. So I think it is worth a whole roll of film, which is looking at about sort of £15. I can develop it for about 2, so £17 to get hopefully 1 good image is a lot cheaper than if I'd shot sheets. If I'd have done that with sheets, I'd be looking at about sort of £70 or so to get the same number of frames, so vastly more economical. Well, I ended up taking one of the polarised images as my favourite. Had a little bit more movement in it, but the saturation was far better and the sky really popped out there. Now, as expected, those foreground flowers were moving a little bit and I did lose a tiny bit of depth of field, but not bad overall when you consider the size of the negative. The midground, going through to the tree trunk, perfectly acceptable and sharp, and some really lovely colours from the Portra 160 there. And the tree as well, sharp right to the very top, so I didn't put too much front tilt on. And yes, not bad for a lens of that age. So overall, I'm quite pleased with the composition. I think the foreground is a little bit messy and I could have excluded some of it. But I'm generally happy with that crop. I think it does exclude the annoying surrounding details the best I could. I didn't take any more images on the day, and I was hoping to get back and shoot it potentially again in the next week or so, only time will tell. But thanks for coming along as ever, and I'll see you again soon.